Hi, my name is Ariel and welcome to Mermaid Musings. So this video is going to be all about the September astrology forecast. I'm going to have the timestamps listed down below so that way you can skip to wherever in the month you want to skip to if you're watching this at a later date. Also, be sure to like and subscribe as well. So let's get started for the month of September. On September 2nd, we have Mars in Virgo opposite Neptune in Pisces. This is a transit of discouragement. It's really easy to get down on yourself where you tell yourself that you're not good enough or that you're not getting enough stuff done, which then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's very easy to not do anything on this day and then get in a very super critical Virgo mode where you beat yourself up and you mentally criticize yourself for not getting anything done. It's like you have the critical side of Virgo and the delusional side of Pisces both working against you. You delude yourself into thinking you're not good enough, so then you don't take action, which then in turn proves to yourself that you're not good enough. When Virgo and Pisces interact with each other in a negative way, it becomes super easy for you to throw yourself a pity party, but it's best to not do that. When you hear that negative, critical voice in your head, it's not based on logic or reason like you like to tell yourself. It's actually based on delusion. So recognize that your negative self-talk is the delusional side of yourself. It doesn't become a reality unless you give into it. When you hear that voice telling you that you're not good enough, don't listen. Instead, push on through and continue to work towards your goals, even if you feel down about yourself. If you don't let those negative feelings impact the concrete physical actions that you choose to take, then those negative feelings towards yourself, while those negative feelings are still there, can no longer hurt you. On September 4th, we have Mercury in Libra trine Saturn in Aquarius. This is a really good time frame where if you have tasks that involve mental concentration, it's better to do those tasks now. It's going to be easier for you to get your mind focused on the task at hand. If you just put a little bit of effort in, you'll find that it's easier for you to concentrate right now than normal. So you're going to be able to get a lot more tasks accomplished than is typical for you on an average day. So don't take continuous breaks where you go on your phone or wherever it is that you like to do so you can distract yourself from the task at hand. Push yourself to keep going free of distraction. Saturn likes hard work and it will reward you for that hard work. Now might also be a great time for you to work on those tedious tasks that you normally don't like to do. This is a great time to just suck it up and knock it out of the way. That way Saturn is rewarding you for not having to do tasks that you hate later on. By doing those tasks now, you're finally free to work on whatever it is that you actually want to work on. On September 5th, we have Venus in Libra square Pluto in Capricorn. If you've been dealing with issues of power and control in your personal relationships, expect those same issues to pop up in an intense fashion on this day. In a way, we're really doubling down on a lot of the same energies considering the planets and what sign placements that they're in. We have Venus in Libra, which Venus is Libra's planetary ruler. So these placements are in easy communication with one another. They both want similar things. Then we have Pluto in Capricorn, which Pluto isn't Capricorn's planetary ruler, but both Pluto and Capricorn are connected to control and power. So these energies understand each other extremely well. So with a square in between them, there's this tension that doesn't know how to be resolved, but it does know how to boil to the surface where it's going to force you to confront it and look at it. And the way that Venus square Scorpio forces you to look at it is by bringing out the darkest qualities in both yourself and the people that you love. You're going to see manipulative behavior, jealousy, pettiness, obsessiveness. You can find yourself acting out in ways that you don't like, but you don't know how to stop yourself from doing it. It's like a compulsion. What you have to understand about yourself is that darkness is always there. Venus square Pluto didn't create that darkness within you, it just brought it to the surface. So you can wait till Venus leaves its square with Pluto and shove it back down again, or you can confront your darkness. You can look at your darkness head on and see the truth of who you are. Only then can you start the process of being able to resolve this tension within yourself. Burying it further down will only make it worse. On September 6th, we have the new moon in Virgo. There are three major aspects to this new moon: a trine to Uranus, an opposition to Neptune, and a conjunction to Mars. The new moon in Virgo is pushing the moon in a direction that it doesn't want to go, but that is ultimately healthy for it. First, we have the trine to Uranus. It wants to bring freedom and excitement to the world of Virgo. It wants to take Virgo out of its bubble and show Virgo that a better world is possible. I like to think of it as radical perfectionism. Virgo can get so stuck trying to attain perfection that it refuses to look outside the box. It only wants to look at what came before and try to make previously held ideas better. But a lot of the time, the best ideas haven't been tried yet. This Virgo new moon is trying to teach you to look outside how you've thought about things in the past. It wants you to look towards the future for answers. Take new ideas and try to make them great. Build on top of new ideas just like you would have done with old ideas. Even if you don't know what you're doing, that's okay. You're going to make mistakes when you're building onto something new. Mistakes aren't what hold you back from perfection. It's through our mistakes that we learn and come back even better. Fear of making mistakes is what actually holds you back from perfection. We also have the new moon conjunct Mars in Virgo, which is giving us the drive to get up and get things done. Mars in Virgo wants to give you that drive to get tasks accomplished. That's what's going to make you feel emotionally good, setting up goals and completing those goals. It makes you feel good when you can cross something off your list. The more you get done, the more energy is activated within you where you can get even more things done. That's why it's important for you to take action during this time. It reignites your drive and it makes you feel emotionally healthy. If you don't utilize this time to accomplish goals, then you're going to feel that energy drain from your body and you're going to feel emotionally unhealthy and you're not going to understand why. So really use this time wisely where it can help you to grow instead of it stifling your energy. The big obstacle to this new moon is the opposition to Neptune in Pisces. That's going to be the thing that's going to try to hold us back from the positive energy that's trying to propel us forward. Neptune brings delusion and Pisces brings delusion, so we have a double dose of delusion trying to bring down that Virgo energy, which is normally very logical and grounded in reality. So this is also very similar to the notes I gave you for the second of the month with Mars in Virgo opposite Neptune and Pisces. Right now, you're trying to fight off the urge to tell yourself that you're not good enough. Neptune and Pisces can easily hold you back from never trying. If you believe deep down in your soul, which is the moon, that you're not good enough, you don't have the drive and the emotional power to follow through because you believe in your heart that it doesn't really matter whatever you do. So even when you do try, you don't try as hard as you're capable of. You self-sabotage because you lie to yourself, telling yourself that that was the best you could have done when in reality that wasn't your best. You just want to tell yourself that that was your best so then you can complete that self-fulfilling prophecy of that you're not good enough. So you have to get yourself out of this cycle. Only by believing in yourself, only by telling yourself that you are good enough will you be able to reach your fullest potential. You have to give yourself the chance to be great, which means not getting stuck in self-pity and not being afraid to fail. When you inevitably have failure, which with Uranus that's going to happen, it's easy for you to tell yourself down, for you to use that as proof that you're not good enough. But that doesn't prove anything. That's more information that is now available to you that you could have only learned through failure, which then you can turn yourself around and make yourself even better. It's delusional to believe that you aren't capable of greatness in the presence of failure, when history repeatedly demonstrates that we learn best through our failures. Being realistic doesn't mean giving up. It means analyzing failure through honesty. On September 10th, Venus will enter the sign of Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio can be considered a dark transit, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Love and light doesn't work with Scorpio transits. You have to go down into your depths. Trying to stay above it all will kill you. The only option you have for survival is to go and swim down into your darkness, so go and do that. Explore the parts of your relationships that you normally don't like to look at. Explore what scares you. Confront head on your fears in your relationships. A lot of the time, the most disgusting, vile behavior that we do in relationships stems from fear. We act out in ways that we don't like because of our underlying fears and insecurities in relationships. When we're afraid that someone we love might one day leave us, or we become jealous of their other relationships, that's when we start to act kind of crazy because we're desperate for that person to stay. So we start to act out, whether that's through being controlling or emotional manipulation. With Venus in Scorpio, all those insecurities within ourselves and all the actions we take in order to deal with that insecurity are going to be dialed up to a 10. So you can go one of two ways. You can either continue to cause yourself this inner turmoil and continue to act out in all these darker ways that I've already talked about, or you can confront it so you can transform it. Confronting it is obviously the better path. You aren't able to change something about yourself if you just deny that it's a part of you. When you refuse to look at the parts of yourself that you don't like, they persist and they often get worse. Venus in Scorpio is going to make it where you can't ignore your darkness, insecurity, and manipulation anymore. So you either continue down that path, causing destruction in your own life and the lives of others along the way, or you can recognize your self-destructive tendencies. Recognize it in the moment when it's happening. Feel all your emotions. Even if your emotions make you uncomfortable and they feel gross to you, they are still your emotions. They are there for a reason, so it's important for you to allow yourself to feel them as deeply as possible. When you allow yourself to feel deeply all your fears and insecurities, those emotions are no longer in a place of stagnation. They are finally free so they can transform into different emotions, which are more healthy for you and anyone else who has to deal with your emotionally charged states in relationships. On September 14th, Mars enters Libra. This is actually the perfect placement to help with that tricky Venus and Scorpio transit. Mars is how you take action, it's aggression and anger. Libra is all about harmony, balance, and diplomacy. So this helps to soften the emotionally volatile reactions you might be facing with Venus and Scorpio. Mars in Libra is the perfect way to direct those emotions in a way that's more healthy. Mars in Libra likes to take action through communication. So if you're acting out because you feel insecure, instead of continuing with that pattern, talk to your partner about your insecurities. Use communication to solve your problems in your relationships. If your partner isn't listening to you when you decide to express your emotions, that might be a red flag for your relationship. Maybe your fears in your relationships are actually justified because you realize through Mars and Libra that your partner isn't giving you what you emotionally need. Mars and Libra is trying to help you find balance. So if you're with a partner who's mostly taking from you, Mars in Libra is going to want to help you to adjust that. Likewise, it might be that you're the one taking too much from your partner. How you choose to act out based on your fears and insecurities might take a bigger toll on your partner than you realize. The only way you're going to be able to fix this and get you and your partner back on balance is through having communication with your partner, where you're emotionally vulnerable with them and they can also be emotionally vulnerable with you. The sign of Libra in some ways kind of sucks because it's all about compromise, so no one 100% gets what they want. But that's how relationships work. So use this time to figure out the compromises that you're okay with, that you can live with and still thrive in your relationships. Also, figure out what compromises are non-negotiable for you. Or figure out where's your limit, what compromises go too far for you. When you have clear boundaries in your head that you can communicate, your relationship will continue to grow and become stronger. On September 16th, we have the Sun in Virgo trine Pluto in Capricorn. This is about deep transformations when it comes to your ego. The Sun is all about the ego and Pluto transforms whatever it touches. Luckily, we have a trine between the two planets, which means that the energy is deeply transformational, but not in a harsh way. This is a time where you can really understand the power that you have over your own life. Oftentimes, we feel like we have no power when we do. It's just that we've chosen to give away our power to other people. This transit wants you to realize this and take your power back. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to get into a confrontation with anyone. As soon as you decide that you want to wield your own power, it comes back to you. You don't have to go up to another person and fight to take it back. Actually, by doing that, you're already losing. Your power is innate within you. It will always be there, even when you feel like it isn't. So it's not that you have to go and wrestle your power away from someone else. You already possess power. You just have to stop giving it away. On September 17th, we have Venus in Scorpio square Saturn in Aquarius. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this because I've already covered Venus in Scorpio pretty thoroughly. So basically, if you're watching this at a later date or you skipped over the Venus in Scorpio prediction for some reason, go back and watch it. All those lessons I was talking about with Venus in Scorpio, they're going to be even more dialed up on this day. All the problems in your relationships might come to the surface where you are forced to deal with it. Saturn is a harsh, realistic sign that believes in dealing with reality. It doesn't like to sugarcoat things. It doesn't like to pretend that things are different than they actually are. Saturn craves real honesty. So if you're someone who's avoiding dealing with your issues in your relationships, Saturn is trying to put a stop to that by any means necessary. You might have no control over the situation. Even if you make the conscious decision to try to avoid your problems, well, then someone else might pick a fight with you, which in that case, you can't ignore it. So just know that it's going to be a stressful time for relationships, but that Saturn likes to build things back better. So if you give in, if you pay attention to the lessons that Saturn is trying to teach you, your relationships will wind up in a better place. On September 20th, we have the full moon in Pisces. The full moon in Pisces is one of the most intense full moons of the year. Full moons stir up a lot of emotions within us, plus Pisces is one of the most sensitive signs of the zodiac. So basically, we have super intense emotional energy on top of super intense emotional energy. I don't say that to scare you. The full moon in Pisces is actually personally one of my favorite full moons. Full moons in Pisces tend to feel wonderful and magical. You just have to open up your emotions so you can experience it. So we have 3 major transits hitting this full moon. We have a conjunction to Neptune in opposition to Mars and a sextile to Pluto. None of them are really that tight in degrees, so there isn't one aspect that particularly stands out to me. They're all kind of working together equally. The conjunction to Neptune doubles down on the feeling of magic that the full moon brings. Whatever Neptune touches can have this otherworldly feeling. So you have that on top of the full moon in Pisces, which elicits similar emotions. Now is a wonderful time to let emotions take you and wash you away. Get swept up in all your feelings. Don't try to fight them because you're not going to win. So instead of enjoying the full moon experience, you get angry at it. With that opposition to Mars, you can have anger bubble up around what you were feeling. You might get angry because you feel like your emotions are wrong somehow, or you might get mad at yourself because you feel like your emotions aren't logical, which they aren't, but they're not meant to be. If you're trying to turn your emotions into a super logical experience, then you're kind of missing the point. Virgo constantly thinks that everything is wrong. So you feel like you're not living up to that Virgo perfection, but that's just stupid. Emotions aren't about perfection. There is literally no such thing as a perfect emotion. Emotions aren't tangible. You can't take them out of your body and critique them, so don't even try. Leave your emotions where they are and experience them without judgment. It's hard with Virgo, but if you can allow yourself to feel and experience your emotions without critique and judgment, then you wind up emotionally in a much better place. The last aspect we have going on here is the sextile to Pluto. This serves us to go even deeper inward. Pluto is all about exploring our depths, and you now have that working with the sensitivity of Pisces. So this further makes this full moon emotionally vulnerable and in some ways an emotionally volatile full moon. Pluto is taking your sensitive soul and it's leading you even further into the depths. So don't let Mars and Virgo hold you back. Follow your path down to wherever it may lead you. Don't let judgment guide your way. Let self-love and emotional curiosity be what guides you during this full moon. On September 22nd, we have Mercury in Libra square Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto energies are definitely a persistent theme for this month. There's a lot of energy in the sky that's forcing you to look at the Pluto themes going on in your life. Mercury is about thinking, speaking, and communication. Pluto wants to do everything in darkness. With a square there, there's a tension between these two energies. The best thing you can do on this day is to think and analyze, but don't say what you've analyzed out loud. If you keep your thoughts in your brain, then you're fine. It's when you say those dark thoughts out loud that you get into trouble. You can have a lot of deep, meaningful realizations on this day, and that is great. Do more of that. Spend the day thinking, going further and further into your thoughts, so you can really get down into the core of what you think. That's an important thing to do. But those realizations that you're having aren't meant to be spoken out loud yet. They aren't fully formed thoughts. So when you put out your opinions when they aren't fully formed, when you aren't done processing all your thoughts yet, then your thoughts are going to wind up being twisted and misconstrued by others. People aren't going to be able to fully understand what it is that you're trying to say. So they come up with their own interpretation of what you're trying to say, which that doesn't really do you any favors. So spend the day thinking, but keep those thoughts to yourself. If you want to, you're going to have the opportunity to verbalize those thoughts later on, when it won't backfire on you. On September 25th, we have Mars in Libra trine Saturn in Aquarius. This is one of the best days of the month to get tasks accomplished. Mars is action and drive, while Saturn is about continuously building a better future. So when you get these two planets together and you have a positive aspect in between them, magical things can happen. It's like you have this fire lit under you, pushing you towards your future. So what it's best to do is to take advantage of that fire. Work on accomplishing tasks that are going to benefit you not on the day of, but that will bring benefits into your life later on. So for example, let's say you want to get a new job. Spend the day applying for new jobs, reaching out to contacts, seeing what's available out there. Spend the day getting your materials together and updating your resume or doing whatever it is that you need to do so you can finally get a new job. It's a better use of your time to work on more forward-thinking goals than on everyday basic tasks. For example, you might have a lot of laundry that's built up and that you need to work on, but doing your laundry isn't going to help you build towards your future. Once it's done, it's done. It's not a long-term goal. So spend your day working on applying for a new job instead of working on getting your laundry done. So obviously, I don't know what's going on in your life and what actions you need to take in order to implement your long-term goals. I'm just trying to explain the way that you need to think about this day. So take my specific example and apply that to your life regarding your specific goals. On September 27th, we have Mercury retrograde in Libra. It's the dreaded Mercury retrograde that everyone talks about. Honestly, they are usually not that big of a deal. This is how I introduce Mercury retrograde almost every single time I talk about it, because I want people to learn to calm down as everyone sort of blows it out of proportion. So this Mercury retrograde begins September 27th, but we're mostly going to be feeling the effects of it in October as it goes to October 18th. This is why I want to do a whole separate video on Mercury retrograde, so if you want to see when that video is available, be sure to subscribe below. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to do a quick breakdown of what Mercury retrograde means for you in the month of September. Libra is relational, like we've already covered a bunch in this video. Mercury is how you think and communicate, so with it retrograde in Libra, how you think and communicate in regards to your relationships is going to be a little bit messed up. Right now, it's a better time for you to absorb information rather than to speak that information out loud. Also, a lot of the information that you absorb might not be completely accurate. You might only be getting some of the puzzle pieces, and you need to wait until Mercury goes direct in order to put the full puzzle together. So right now, try to take in information when it comes to your relationships, but also keep an open mind. Don't make concrete decisions. Wait for things to play out in the future. Don't be afraid to take in new information, but put it in the back of your mind for you to be able to revisit later. On the other hand, if you've been analyzing a certain relationship for a while, you might actually have a breakthrough during Mercury retrograde because you have been preparing for it since before Mercury retrograde. Regardless, now is not the time to act on it or speak it out loud. Just wait. Once Mercury is no longer in retrograde, that's the time to say out loud all the things you've been thinking during Mercury retrograde. Use this time to get your thoughts together so that when you're ready, you can say those thoughts out loud in the most constructive way possible, where you can actually get your point across and have the other person listen to you. If you say what you're thinking right now, that Libra diplomacy is not in the best place. So you and your partner will be talking past each other instead of having actual communication where problems can be resolved. You want to wait so you can get the end result that you want. So that's my video. If you liked this video, once again, please be sure to like and subscribe below. I do these videos every month. Also, be sure to follow me on my social media platforms as well. I post pretty regularly about transits on my Instagram, so if you're really into transits, which I would assume since you just watched this entire video, that's probably the best social media platform for you to follow. Though you should obviously follow all of them. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a wonderful month of September.